Mike Potter with the News Observer for Latifah. How much does playing South Carolina in an NCAA tournament game mean to you?
I mean, it means a lot. It's always a good rival between the Carolinas, and it's always a fun game to play in. You know, a lot of talk back home about the whole going to North Carolina and not going to South Carolina thing, so it's always a pretty good game for me.
For all three of you guys, what do you remember about playing South Carolina last year, obviously during the regular season, and then in the Sweet 16?
Let's start with Allisha.
It was definitely a very intense game, very fast-paced.
Stephanie.
I remember both of them were really competitive games. It was a game of runs, both games. They got our runs on us. We got our runs on them, and it was just really competitive. And it was just two fun games and two great teams competing against each other, and we just happened to win the both of them.
Latifah.
Yeah, exactly like they said. It was a very competitive and very fun game to play in.
For you guys, what have you noticed that they have changed in their team, and also how have you guys kind of changed in the last year?
We definitely became a better team. We're definitely more aggressive. Yeah.
I think that we've just matured on the court. We really are blending, and we're really we're faster, I think, too. Just everything's just flowing. Though we've lost two players, one injury, one to a transfer, I think that we're still strong. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that. And I think that it affected us to begin with, not having Selena around whenever she got injured. But I think that now we're really like coming together, and now we've really settled down and really know each other's games now. And we've looked like we've played together for much longer than we really have. And to go for South Carolina, they've gotten a lot better. I think that they're a little bit more post-oriented than they were last year, and they've gotten quicker as well. And they just look like they're really flowing out there. They really know the tendencies of one another, and they just really look like a real team, like a real unit. And I think that that's kind of scary as well.
Yeah, I can't really follow that up. I mean, pretty much said everything.
I want to follow up on something Allisha said. You said you're a better team than last year, and I agree with you after watching both teams play a lot of games. Yet you lost an All-America player early, and you've been able to compensate for that. Why do you think y'all have been able to make yourselves a deeper team and also more of a versatile team since that happened? I'd also like Stephanie to talk about that.
This year we definitely play with a chip on our shoulder because from the start we've been doubted. Many people didn't think we would make it this far from the beginning of the season. And we just came together as a team in the show and to prove people wrong that we're a better team than what we were last year.
I agree with that. And also, I think that now we're much more of a team, and then we don't really look to one or two individuals to really just show up every single day. And I feel like maybe one player is going to have a bad game every now and then or such, but I feel like on any given day, any given player can step up on our team. That's really big for us. It's not always one consistent leading scorer. It's not always one consistent leading rebounder, steals, whatever. We have someone that's leads in every category in different ways in different games, and I think that's really big because we look for 5 people on the court at once, not just 1 or 2 players now, and we really play as a team, as a unit, and we're all together rather than broken apart, and I think that really shows.
In the fourth row in the left-hand side.
Considering this is almost like a home game, do you think that's give y'all an advantage in this game?
What was the rest of the question? Do you think?
This is almost like a home game for y'all. Do y'all feel like that's giving y'all an advantage?
Not necessarily. Just I think that being in North Carolina is kind of neat just because people don't really have to drive as far as maybe they would have had to, as other teams are playing at different places in the Sweet 16. But then again, South Carolina has brought a lot of fans to their games this year. And so I think that it's going to be pretty even in terms of fans that they're bringing to the game as we are. And so I think there's going to be a lot of red, and then there's going to be a lot of blue in the game too.
Stephanie, you mentioned that South Carolina is more post-oriented this year. Already in the tournament, you've faced a lot of height and physicality and Liberty, and then really fast post player in Ohio State. What specific challenges does this team's post players bring?
They have more height than Ohio State had. I think that they have more height than just one person, whereas Alexa Hart for Ohio State was their tallest player, and maybe their fourth player wasn't as tall. And whereas with South Carolina, their starting post is tall, their bench players are tall, and they all come in there and really just pose a challenge in the post. But they're really poised, and they really know exactly how it is, how to guard a post player, and so it's going to be a nice challenge, but then again, we'll just see how it goes.
Like everybody was talking about, the fans may be kind of, even I want to ask Latifah about this because you've got the most experience with it, the rims and the shooting background and the floor and things like that, having played in here so many times, should that be a big advantage? Is it usually?
I mean, yeah, it kind of is an advantage, like being used to the gym, like, for South Carolina. I don't think they've ever had to play here, so it should be kind of an edge for us, like just coming off the ACC tournament here. So it should be kind of an edge.
As for any of the players, when you played Stanford this year, did you have any particular feelings as they ended your season last year, and that those feelings may be the type of feelings that the South Carolina players had? Just can you remember back to that?
You always really come out with a different attitude when you're playing someone who's previously beaten you, especially when it's a season-ending loss. And when we played Stanford earlier this year, of course we really wanted to beat them to sort of get a sort of type of revenge for them beating us the year before. But then again, it's not the same Stanford team. It's never the same exact team that you're playing, because Stanford, of course, lost to Gumake and maybe some other players, and they're a whole different basketball team when we played them down in Hawaii than when we played them at Stanford last year. And so, of course, though it feels good to beat Stanford because it's still the Stanford program, it's not the same exact team, not the same situation, whereas we rather would have beat them in the Elite Eight than in a tournament game. But then here, I think that South Carolina rather, has the same exact situation, 4 seed, 1 seed, Sweet 16 game against the same exact team. So that game is really set up like the same exact way that the one last year was set up. And so, of course, that I feel as if they really want to beat us. And in a press conference, I've heard the different quotes, and some of them saying that this is exactly what they wanted. And so I think it's going to be a really good game. It's going to be a tough game, of course, and they're going to be out to get us, and they're going to play with a chip on their shoulder just because we ended their season last year, and that brings a lot of pain, knowing that from experience last year.